Hi everyone and welcome to Bonnie Astrology. Today I'm going to be discussing the full moon in Leo, which is happening February 12th at 24 degrees of Leo, and what it means for your zodiac sign. As always, if you do enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up to let me know that you like it. Subscribe to the channel for regular astrology updates and horoscopes from me. And if you want to follow me at any of my socials, they're listed in the description. There are more frequent updates on all things astrological on Instagram. The timestamps are listed below for each of the individual zodiac signs. I always suggest that you watch your rising sign for the most accurate astrological horoscope, but if you want to watch your sun sign, that is fine as well. I am firstly going to be going through what the astrology of this full moon represents for us all collectively. The fact that it's in the sign of Leo and square Uranus means that this one is bringing a bit of drama, and with it being some degree of a season finale energy with an unexpected plot twist. So if you want to know what this full moon means for us collectively, just keep watching. Hi and welcome to the astrological forecast for this full moon in Leo for us collectively. So this full moon is happening February 12th, but we can notice the effects of the full moon in the first half of February. However, it does tend to reach its peak energy in the days before and the days after, usually 3.5 either side. And you may find with this full moon occurring quite closely to Valentine's Day, and it being in a sign that represents love and romance, there can be some dramatic love or romantic energies playing out under this full moon. It really does remind me of the season finale of a sitcom or a soap opera that has an unexpected plot twist in it thanks to Uranus. Leo energy itself can be quite dramatic, and that does not necessarily have to be a bad thing. We can love a little bit of drama. That's why people are interested in sitcoms, TV shows, going to the theatre, that type of thing. All lovely things to do around this full moon in Leo. And you might notice that when it comes to the entertainment world, there are some shocks and surprises going on as well. When it comes to celebrities, when it comes to entertainers, there can be some plot twists there. And as this is happening in one of the most romantic signs of the zodiac, Leo, this full moon in a square to Uranus, it means that there can be some unexpected developments in our love lives, especially if Leo is a romantic or partnership part of your chart. So for Aries risings and for Aquarius risings, this full moon may be the most surprising when it comes to matters of the heart. But the square to Uranus can bring unexpected drama and unexpected plot twists. That might be you surprising someone else or someone surprising you. It can be unexpected declarations of love. It can be a now or never energy for some people to declare their feelings. It can also be that perhaps certain romantic affairs are not working out, and the square to Uranus is the liberating factor of getting out of something that doesn't feel authentic to both of you. It doesn't feel truthful to both of you. The truth, albeit a concept which is a bit of a slippery slope. But you may find with this full moon that this square to Uranus really heightens this energy of expecting the unexpected and a few plot twists. Now, the square to Uranus can be quite dynamic in the sense that it can really push you to establish greater independence, greater personal autonomy, and to liberate yourself from something in your life that is not true to your heart. Leo is the sign of the heart, and where love goes, energy flows with the full moon in Leo. So if you feel like something is not true to your heart, it's not true to your passions, you may find with the square to Uranus that you're able to liberate yourself from it, maybe because of a change in values, with Uranus being in the sign of Taurus associated with our value system. However, sometimes with Uranus, the liberation occurs toward us. It can be that we're feeling fixed, we're feeling stubborn in sticking with something that is no longer working, sticking with something that has become incredibly mundane, where there's no longer growth, and maybe something that has become codependent, or it's for the sake of somebody else at the expense of your own personal growth and development. Something that has become stale that you stick in because it's familiar. The square to Uranus can sometimes be where external forces, outer forces, particularly as Uranus is now direct, can come in and say enough is enough. You've no choice but to change something, particularly if you've been stubborn and a creature of habit. This full moon can push you out of your comfort zone if you're not willing to take steps yourself to change things and switch up the energy. Full moons in a square to Uranus can also generate quite a lot of anxiety and uncertainty. And one of the best ways to cope with this with the full moon in Leo is to express your emotions through the arts, through entertainment, whether that's singing your heart out at karaoke, whether or not that's going to the theatre, a pantomime. I'm not sure that pantomimes are on this time of year, but if you could boo some kind of villain on the stage, that would be a great expression of this energy. But participating in something artistic, expressing your feelings through interpretive dance, going to a comedy class, going to something that helps you express your inner artist. One of the ways that expression may come through this full moon is actually entertaining your inner child. That is the artist's way. I think there's a book on this, The Artist's Way. It's called The Artist's Way. I'm not 100% sure who it's from, but if you Google it, it will come up. And the premise of it is that our inner artist is our inner child. So you might find around the time of this full moon that you notice people around you maybe acting more childish in nature, but you may also find that doing things for the sake of fun can be very liberating for you emotionally. It can really help you get out of a rut, get you unstuck, and it can really help with anxiety. The anxiety may be telling you that something needs to change, and you may find that being expressive and getting in touch with your artistic side or your creative side is the best way to liberate yourself from something that is stuck. The dispositor of this full moon is the Sun, and the Sun is in Aquarius conjunct Mercury. The Sun is not necessarily so comfortable in Aquarius. This full moon can exacerbate conflict or tension when it comes to the needs of the individual and the needs of the group. So you might notice around you or within your own life that groups of people are clashing. Usually there's one person that is not getting along with the rest of the group, or there's one person's approach that is not fitting with the rest of the group. It can exacerbate tensions within group dynamics. Now, the Sun is in a conjunction to Mercury, which means that with the square to Uranus, there may be surprising news coming out from your friends, from people that you're connected with through teamwork, through groups, and there can also be unexpected tensions in and amongst friendship groups or with friends at the time of this full moon, and it may reach a peak. Just remember that with the square to Uranus, sometimes it can be a necessary prompt to change and problem solve something that has become routine, and you don't want it to be a routine anymore. So there may be an opportunity for growth through conflict and, figuring out what works for both of you if you do find that you're in a challenging predicament with a friendship or you're in a challenging predicament with a group. This can be a time where maybe you need to focus more on team building through creative ways rather than doing the same old thing. This full moon is happening at 24 degrees of Leo. So if you have any personal placements at 24 degrees of Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, or Taurus, you're going to be feeling this full moon the most. It is going to be the most impactful for you, particularly emotionally. It may shake up emotions within you that you didn't expect, or that you maybe have not been able to express. And if you do have the opportunity to express them, it is likely through creative pursuits and really working with your inner child. So this full moon is going to be quite a dramatic one, and it can be one that really helps us, not necessarily in the easiest way every time, but helps us liberate ourselves from something that is stale and no longer working for us. So as always, I'm going to pull a tarot card for this full moon in Leo and see what the collective message is for this full moon. It is quite a dramatic one. It could be quite surprising. Could be a few plot twists and unexpected outbursts, but it's entertaining. The moon card for the full moon. That's interesting. I think with this Sun-Mercury conjunction and the square to Uranus, there may be news comes out that was surprising. One of the other elements that's happening around the time of this full moon is, of course, the Neptune North Node conjunction in Pisces. Now, the moon is a Pisces card, and with that conjunction, a lot of the time, the manifestation of it for us collectively is not necessarily clear. There tends to be a bit of deception. There tends to be a lot happening behind the scenes that we're not privy to. This full moon may actually act as a little bit of an exposure point with the full moon being in the sign of Leo, leadership. But it can also be those in entertainment. It can be unexpected feelings coming to the fore, unexpected emotions coming to the fore. And as I said as well before, full moons with a square to Uranus, if you've ever experienced a hard Uranus transit to your natal moon, so a square, an opposition, a conjunction, sometimes you can find that you go through bouts of very intense anxiety. And this anxiety is because something needs to change. This anxiety is because something needs to be dealt with. You need to take back some control and think outside the box. So if you are feeling anxious around the time of this full moon, just know that maybe there's something in your life that you know you need to change, and this full moon could maybe give you some creative inspiration as to what you need to do. that is my message for the full moon in Leo. As I said before, timestamps are listed below. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed full moon and a very happy Valentine's Day. For those of you that are celebrating, whatever way that you're doing it, whether it's single or whether it's coupled, whatever the case may be, I hope you have a day full of love. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Aries, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. Aries, this full moon is happening in a very fun part of your chart. So this one might actually be quite playful for you. The full moon is happening in the 5th house, and this can illuminate matters surrounding your love life, your romantic affairs, dating. It can also highlight matters surrounding your children if you have them, or pregnancy or birth matters. And it can also highlight your artistic expression, your creative expression, and the things that you do for fun and enjoyment. As a full moon is always opposite the sun is happening in the sun is in your 11th house conjunct Mercury. There could be important information or conversations when it comes to friendships. Maybe your friend is telling you something at this time. It can also be quite a social time for you. So some of you may very well be invited to a party, to an event. That could be quite a lot of fun. There could be quite a lot of people there. It can also mean that maybe some of you are having conversations about the future, and maybe that's, part of your love life, or that's to do with children or something of that nature. There is this square from Uranus. So this full moon is a fixed T-square. And the square to Uranus brings a little bit of uncertainty, unpredictability, and this is in your financial sector. So when it comes to maybe a party that you're attending, you might get a little bit happy tapping your card if you're out having a good time and you're very much in the moment. You might surprise yourself at how much you spend, or you might be surprised around the time of this full moon at how much something costs or is going to cost. So just be mindful of that, Aries, that there is a little bit of financial unpredictability in the mix at the time of this full moon. And expect the unexpected as far as events that you're entertaining, parties that you're attending, that type of thing, Aries. Your tarot card is the 6 of Cups, which is about reunion. It's about nostalgia. So maybe some of you are reuniting with someone at this time, or maybe some of you are quite nostalgic about the past. If you're at a party, maybe you're connecting with people you haven't seen in a while. Maybe with the pre-shadow of Venus being in your sign, maybe you're thinking of reaching out to people you haven't seen in a while, or you're feeling nostalgic for the past in some way, Aries, reconnecting with people, old friends. It can be with Venus about to go retrograde in the 5th. It can be people that you used to date or people you were romantically involved with. The 6 of Cups is also to do with children, so it may be that your children are taking center stage, very much so, under this full moon, Aries. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Taurus, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Taurus, this full moon is happening in your 4th house, meaning that it is illuminating and highlighting matters surrounding your living situation, property perhaps, or also your family. And this can include roommates if you have them as well. So your living sector is very much highlighted here, or your relationship to your family is also highlighted around the time of this full moon. Sometimes full moons in the 4th house can coincide with a move or a change in living situation or a change in your family circumstance. I do feel, Taurus, that you may very well be the one who's surprising people. With Uranus being in your 1st house, you might have something to share that might shock people in your family. It may also shock people professionally, or you may be choosing to change something when it comes to a living situation, or even maybe a working situation, a professional situation. You might be changing something so that it is more authentic to where you're at now and how you're changing with Uranus going through the 1st house. Because when you have a planet transiting the 1st house, it's really quite loud, Taurus. It's really quite impactful in terms of how you live your life and how you express yourself. And Uranus is not the most stabilizing force. Its main motivation during a transit is freedom and liberation. So some of you might be deciding to move. Some of you might be deciding to sell a house. You might be deciding to suddenly move. Or you might find that maybe you're expressing something to your family that surprises them or shocks them in some shape or form. But there is a little element of expect the unexpected, Taurus, although I think for most of this full moon, it's somewhat coming from you and maybe choosing to do something that is more authentic and more in line with where you're going. Now, the Sun and Mercury are conjunct in your 10th house, and this means that there may be some news when it comes to your career, some information. Maybe you're getting a letter when it comes to your career, or maybe you're having a conversation when it comes to your career or your goals. I don't know what's going on with my voice at the moment, Taurus, I apologize. It could be to do with your goals. It could be to do with your long-term goals. It doesn't have to be professional. It can be something that you just simply want to achieve, something that you want to embark on as part of your legacy, essentially, Taurus, with the 10th house. So perhaps a lot of you are wanting more freedom, or you're wanting more self-expression when it comes to your career, more independence, more freedom, more choice when it comes to what you're doing professionally, or when it comes to your living situation, Taurus. Your tarot card is the Eight of Coins, which is the Eight of Pentacles. This is to do with self-employment. I think for a lot of you, Taurus, you could be self-employed. You could be using your skills to become self-employed. You could be looking in that direction. You could be very dedicated to your craft at the moment with that Sun-Mercury conjunction in the 10th house. With Pluto there, I think a lot of you are going to want to feel empowered with the work that you do. You're going to want to master something, to have a legacy, to leave behind something meaningful. And I think under this full moon, maybe a lot of you are working on that, and possibly also considering or actually changing your living situation to accommodate your goals. That's what I have for you, Taurus, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Gemini, welcome to the full moon in Leo. This is the horoscope for your sign. So Gemini, this full moon is happening in your third house, meaning that third house matters are being illuminated. Now, what is the third house? Cars, vehicles, short distance travel or transport, your commute. It can also be your telephone, your gadgets, and it can also be simply information and communication, the way that you think, your mindset. I think for a lot of you with this full moon, it can be that important communication is coming to you, you know, a message, a DM, an email, a carrier pigeon. I think for a lot of you, it could be to do with social media as well. There's a sense of unexpected energy with this, thanks to the square from Uranus in your 12th. Something that comes out of left field, something that comes from a blind spot. If you're driving, your blind spot is going to be something of great importance to you at this time. I know it always is, but just to highlight, drive more carefully at this time with that square from Uranus in the 12th. And also, you know, there may be unexpected disruptions or issues comes up with a car, but it can also be that if you've been dealing with disruptions or issues with a car, you might find out under this full moon what the issue actually is. And it may also be that you're having a conversation, a dialogue with somebody, or you get some information that maybe with the square to Uranus in the 12th triggers a pattern or a program that's been running for you behind the scenes, a subconscious pattern, or, you know, something that's maybe actually being kind of harmful and keeping you stuck, and you get this liberation from having this conversation of, oh, this program was running behind the scenes and affecting, you know, my choices. So that can be something that comes up for you at this time, Gemini. But I do think for a lot of you, it could be surprising information. For some of you, you may be traveling in the second half of February, and if you are, I would just say with that square from Uranus to the Sun-Mercury conjunction in the 9th house, what that can manifest as sometimes are unexpected disruptions or delays or change of plans. So just be mindful of that if you are traveling. It's good to be prepared that, you know, maybe sometimes it doesn't play out exactly as you anticipated with Uranus. So just prepare ahead of time that may be the case. And be, you know, treat it a little bit with Mercury square Uranus, treat it a little bit like a Mercury retrograde, where you make sure that you're doubly prepared if you are traveling, that you have all the right documents and that kind of thing. But there could be unexpected disruptions with Uranus being in the mix to your travel arrangements for sure, Gemini, if you are out and about. And it might also be that, you know, this Uranus in the 12th house square, it feels like something might be triggered within you through a conversation or information. But once you sort of deal with it, I think a lot of you might realize that you are feeling a bit more liberated from whatever it was that was playing on behind the scenes. Your tarot card, Gemini, is the Four of Wands, meaning that this could be quite a positive time when it comes to community support. Maybe this full moon in the 3rd is highlighting your community. There could be a lot going on in your local neighborhood. It could be quite a busy time. Could even be, with that square to Uranus, a bit of a disruptive time in your local neighborhood. But I think for a lot of you, you could really be finding that neighbors, community are really coming to the fore under this full moon. That's what I have for you, Gemini, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Cancer, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Cancer, this full moon is happening in a financial house for you. It's happening in the 2nd house, and this is to do with the money that you make. Now, it isn't just financial, this is also to do with your values and what is most important to you. So it can manifest one of two ways. There can be something coming up in terms of your money, in terms of your finances. Maybe you're getting paid for something, maybe you're coming into money, maybe you're having to spend money. There's a sense of unpredictability with this, so maybe this is unexpected money coming your way, or maybe it is an unexpected payment. The reason I say that is because there is this square from Uranus in the 11th house. It might be that you have to pay for something up front, for something in the future, or for, a membership, to join a community, to join a network. There may be a fee. If you're looking to change up your social circle or your networking, it can also be that if you're going to an event, maybe around the time of this full moon, there could be some costs involved that you maybe didn't see coming or a bit unexpected. I think for a lot of you, it looks like you're wanting to invest in your future in some way or change your financial future. And this might be one of those moments where, what you have to do or the way that you need to change your finances is something that's a little bit out of the norm for you, Cancer. There is a Mercury-Sun conjunction happening in your 9th house. So I do think when it comes to your partner's money, or when it comes to loans or grants, money that is from other people or other sources, you may find that there's some important conversation or a document or a note coming up at this time. And this may be something that you didn't quite see coming as well. It can be changes going on when it comes to your partner's money, or the financial benefit that you receive maybe from an organization or something of that nature, Cancer. But it does seem that you're really thinking about your finances at this time. If it's not to do with finances, it can also be to do with your values. They may be changing a little bit, or they might be fluctuating, I would say. It can be with that square to Uranus in the 11th house that there can be a bit of a difference between maybe your values and the memberships that you have, the groups that you socialize with, your social circle, your social network, your friends. Maybe there's a little bit of disruption when it comes to values. It's also worth noting that maybe there's some disruption when it comes to money that is connected to a friend, money you've borrowed or money that they've borrowed or something like that. But I do think for a lot of you, there can be a little bit of a shift in terms of your values, or becoming aware of your values and whether they're in harmony or not with the company that you keep, Cancer. Your tarot card, really cute, the Star. So Uranus is going through the 11th house. The 11th house is to do with wishes, and Uranus is also associated with the Star card in tarot. So it might be under this full moon that something is manifesting for you, or you're maybe becoming more clear and perhaps hopeful, or you're maybe really getting, Cancer, in touch with your spiritual side. We do have this North Node conjunct Neptune energy going on in your 9th house at the same time. Some of you are really connecting with your faith, you're really connecting with the divine, and maybe you're going in a new direction in those areas. That's what I have for you, Cancer, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Leo, welcome to the full moon in your sign. Leo, you are star of the show. This full moon is putting you into the spotlight, front and center on the stage. So you might find yourself being recognized under this full moon for something that you've achieved. Your 10th house is activated at the time of this full moon as well, so you might find yourself rather unexpectedly in the spotlight or unexpectedly recognized for something in your career. I do think for a lot of you, you're really looking for a bit of independence when it comes to your career. A lot of you are more in pursuit of freedom, of being able to do your own thing career-wise, or going off in unexpected directions. And you may find with the square from Uranus to your 7th house that work disruptions or chaos could be getting in the way of bonding with another person or quality time with another person, most likely a partner, but maybe someone you're dating, or maybe someone you have a very close friendship with or a close relationship with. It's also possible around this time that you and a business partner may be clashing if you have one. Could be a little heated under this full moon. But for a lot of you, this is really putting you in the spotlight, and it's a time to consider what it is that you want, what your goals are, what your ambitions are. It's a good full moon, despite maybe career pulling you in one direction, maybe a partner pulling you in another, or a friend pulling you in another. It can be under this full moon that it's a really good time, Leo, to check in with yourself and do something for you. Something that you want to do. Maybe that's going and getting your hair done or your nails done or something of that nature. Just wanting to put some more focus on yourself. But it does feel like a lot of you could be recognized at this time, Leo. And interestingly, your tarot card was the 6 of Wands, which says congratulations on it. For some of you, this could be a victory. It could be a confidence boost. It could be a milestone in your life. You could be getting some recognition or having some success in your career. This might be something that you've been working on since August last year. There could have been a new beginning in August for you, and this full moon could be a bit of a peak when it comes to an event or a goal that was beginning back in August. But there is a little bit of unpredictability in your career, and there is a little bit of uncertainty when it comes to what's happening for you in the workspace or with an authority figure, you know, maybe a parent, maybe a boss. You could be finding, if you have a boss, that they're a little bit unpredictable, a little bit hard to pin down at times with this. With the Sun and Mercury connecting in your 7th house, it may be, you know, that this is a full moon where you're having an important conversation with your partner, and it could be that they feel you're pulled in multiple different directions, or it could be that you're having a very important one-on-one conversation with an important person in your life, and maybe you're having to address some issues. But I do think with the full moon being in your sign, Leo, it's really asking you to consider what it is that you want, what you need, and maybe carving some time out for yourself. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Virgo, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Virgo, this full moon is happening in a very hidden part of your chart. So if we see you at this full moon, it would be quite exceptional. This full moon might be a time when you really need some downtime. You need some time to yourself, need some time to rest, to heal. For a lot of you, with the Sun-Mercury conjunction happening in the 6th, a lot of you might need a little bit of extra rest or healing because of something that's going on with your health. It can be something that happened unpredictably with the Uranus square, or something that was a bit disruptive to your routines, disruptive to your day-to-day work. It could be that you need some downtime to heal from something with the full moon being in the 12th house. The Sun-Mercury conjunction in the 6th could be that you've had some health news. Mercury is your chart ruler, so you could really be focusing on your health, your body, your well-being. And it can also be that maybe there's something coming up at work, or there's a lot of activity at work, a lot of busyness, and perhaps this is something that you have been getting a bit run down by. There's a bit of unpredictability when it comes to your routines and your work. So maybe if there is something coming up health-wise, it's disrupting your routines, or maybe some of you have had to travel for work with Uranus being in the 9th. Maybe some of you have, you know, if you work in a career where there's a lot of foreign or global interaction with Uranus being in the 9th, maybe something's going on globally that's affecting your day-to-day routines. It can be as well that maybe, as I said, you have to travel for work, or maybe your perspectives are shifting and that's sort of changing the way that you're doing your routines. A lot of you could be incorporating a little bit more wellness into your daily routines to take care of yourself and heal, Virgo. But I really think with that full moon being in the 12th house, some of you might be feeling a bit unwell or a bit under the weather, and you might really need to be looking after yourself and healing at this time. Taking some time out, taking some time to yourself. Now, the 12th house is also to do with secrets. So secrets may be coming out for you, Virgo. It can be to do with people that you work with as well. Co-workers, that type of thing. And it can be too that your dreams are really vivid and unusual. Your sleep might be a bit disrupted at this time. Your sleep might be a little bit chaotic. Some of you could literally be jet lagged during the time of this full moon with that square to Uranus in the 9th. Let me get you a card, Virgo. Of course. 10 of Wands, heavy load. So some of you might be feeling a little bit on the brink of collapse. I do notice with Virgo placements that they tend to push themselves beyond the limit quite a lot. Some of you could be feeling quite overloaded, overwhelmed. You could have a lot of responsibilities, and under this full moon, someone might try and give you some more, and you just have to say no. You just have to say, I'm done. My plate is full. I need a couple of days. You can put your phone on do not disturb. You can take some time to sleep, have a lie-in. If you could take a day off around this time, Virgo, it would be really good for you. That is what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Libra, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Libra, this full moon is happening in your 11th house. Now this is to do with your friendships, groups of people, teams, group collaborations, teamwork, that kind of thing. So it's very likely under this full moon that you could be spending some time with a team, with a group of people. You could be networking. And it may also be, Libra, that with this full moon there are changes happening in terms of the groups that you're a part of, or the teams that you're a part of, or there may be a culmination or a peak moment with a group project, but there is a sense of unpredictability to it, or chaos, thanks to the disruptive square from Uranus in your sector of shared resources. So there may be some changes when it comes to friendships. Even if they're friendships that have gone on for quite a long time in your life, there could be some changes there. There could be some emotions coming up. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. But it may be something that brings change. It may be something that brings an unexpected plot twist or a development in your friendships or the groups that you're a part of. Unexpected shifts within a team. Maybe somebody leaves a team unexpectedly. I think for a lot of you as well, Libra, if you're attending an event around this time, there could be something about it that's a little bit unconventional or something that's a little bit out of the norm. You know, maybe you're going to a group session on something that is a little bit out of your comfort zone or a little bit different to what you usually do. It may also be something that, say you were going along to a workshop for something healing, for example. Maybe you were going to a shamanic journeying event or something like that nature. With Uranus in the 8th, there can be a sense of the occult or just something a little bit different or out there for you, Libra. And it could be something that Uranus in the 8th is a little bit emotional or brings up unexpected emotions that if you pulled on that thread a little bit, you might unravel a few feelings within you. Now, there's a Sun-Mercury conjunction in your 5th house, so there could be important conversations or dialogue coming up with your children. If it's not children, it can also be to do with your creative interests, your creative outlets, speaking what's on your heart, speaking to what's on your heart rather, speaking, you know, in a creative sense, going to an open mic or something like that, sharing your creative talents could be something that's coming up at this time as well, Libra. Interestingly enough, your tarot card was the High Priestess. So I do think for a lot of you, you could be maybe going along to events or groups or sessions with teams that are a little bit... There could be something to do with the occult going on there with the High Priestess. But it could also be that your intuition's very strong at this time. You know, we do have this North Node Neptune conjunction in Pisces in your 9th house. Maybe you're getting an intuitive... not your 9th house. Your 6th house, Libra. You could be getting an intuitive or psychic intuition about what's next in your journey, perhaps. You know, something that needs to change, something that needs to be, you need to dive a little bit deeper, and it could be something that's illuminated under this full moon that was maybe a secret for you, Libra. But that's what I have for you. I'll talk to you soon. Hi Scorpio, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Scorpio, this full moon is happening in your professional sector, your career sector, your place of ambition. So you might be finding yourself very much in the spotlight at this time. Full moons bring a peak experience. So if you began something new career-wise in August, this full moon is a great point of culmination, but it's also a check-in point if you feel things are not going the way that you want them to. The square to Uranus may be a time when you're looking to make a change, or you're looking to switch up what you're doing or try something a little bit different. But for some of you, maybe if it's going well, this full moon could be highlighting your achievements, highlighting how you're doing. You could be feeling quite accomplished. Now, the thing about this full moon with the square to Uranus is that no matter how well you're doing, someone will always have something to say about it. And sometimes with Uranian energy, it can be, you know, a comment that really throws you off, or it can be feedback that really throws you off, or a little bit of non-committal or confusing energy from somebody else thrown in your direction when you're in the spotlight. But I think with this full moon, really, Scorpio, it's about asking you, you know, what's making you happy with your career, what's bringing you joy, how comfortable do you feel being in the spotlight, and how comfortable do you feel, you know, being there when things aren't going your way. And it can be a bit testing with Uranian squares sometimes because it's unpredictable. For some of you, this could be getting a job, getting a new job, getting a promotion, getting some sort of new working arrangement in place. A lot of you, you know, with that square to Uranus, maybe you've been seeking more freedom, more independence with your career. And if you feel you're not getting that, you may be feeling a little bit disruptive. Some of you may be getting recognized at work, and maybe a partner is feeling like you're not there when they need you, or they're feeling like you're maybe not available to them as much as they want you to be, or maybe you just feel a little bit like other people's influences at this time are a little bit disruptive. You could find, especially as it's squaring, you know, Mercury and the Sun in your 4th house, there could be some, you know, irritating conversations coming up with other people. There can also be conversations going on when it comes to your home, your family, and your private life. I do think with this full moon, it can highlight any uncomfortable energies when it comes to the balance between your home life and your work life, you know, your private life and your public life, Scorpio. So there can be a little bit of drama in the home front at the time of this full moon, or a little bit of drama in the workplace. Uranus does bring a disruptive energy, but sometimes that disruptive energy can mean that we make changes. And I think for a lot of you Scorpio with this full moon, you may be wanting to really stand in your sovereignty when it comes to your career. And that can mean sometimes getting out of your comfort zone and making changes that don't necessarily go along with your fixed nature. Now, your tarot card was the Ace of Swords, which is about epiphanies, clarity. It's about communication. You might have some great ideas when it comes to your career at this time, but you might also find that there's important conversations going on, even if they don't start off so smoothly. They might help you get to the truth of the matter, Scorpio. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Sagittarius, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Sagittarius, this full moon is happening in a very adventurous part of your chart. It's happening in the 9th house. So this full moon might be illuminating travel matters or travel plans. Maybe you're taking a trip or you're planning a trip under this full moon. Maybe you're seeking adventure. And some of you might really feel as though it's time to get away from everything, especially if things feel kind of disruptive in your routines or your day-to-day living experience. This can also be a time that if you're in higher education, there's some results come through, or there are some, there's a peak moment, maybe a graduation or something like that, with the full moon being in your sector of higher learning. But it certainly is an area of life that's highlighted for you. There's a bit of unpredictability with Uranus in the mix. Uranus is really disruptive under this sky in your 6th house of wellness and routine. So this is in your health sector. And this could be an area of life that maybe you're finding a bit disruptive, or you're really wanting to shake it up, to change it, whether that's changing your workout routine, or you feel like you're in a bit of a rut when it comes to the way that you're eating or exercising. And under this full moon, you're thinking, maybe I need to learn a little bit more about it. Maybe I need to expand my knowledge. Maybe I need to get away from these disruptions. Maybe some of these disruptions are happening in work. And perhaps with Uranus being in the 6th house, aspecting the full moon in your 9th, maybe you're having to travel for your job, or you're having to travel for work or career, or you, as I said before, maybe you just want to get away from the disruptions at work or the chaos at work, and you want to take a trip, you want to, explore with this full moon in the 9th house. There's also a Sun-Mercury conjunction happening in your 3rd house, and it's in a square to Uranus. So you might find under this full moon that communication's pretty unpredictable. You could find that, especially with colleagues or people that you are frequently around in your day-to-day routines and your day-to-day living, you might find that they're a little bit unusual. They're saying things that are a bit odd. They're saying things that are a little bit surprising, or communication could just be a little bit disruptive and unusual at this time, and maybe even a little bit frustrating. I do get the vibe a lot of you might think, I just want to book a holiday and get out of here. With this full moon being in the 9th house, or as I said, you could be getting results for something that you've been learning or studying. Your tarot card, rather surprisingly, I mean, the theme of this full moon is surprises, but you got the Tower, which is about a reckoning essentially. So there might be some sudden changes or sudden events happening around the time of this full moon. That's kind of a common theme of the full moon. The thing is, it's in a fellow fire sign for you. So perhaps you're finding under this full moon that you're wanting to shift things, you're wanting to change things up. You're feeling like, okay, it's time for a change. I'm stuck in a rut. I'm stuck in this situation. I need out. I need pastures new, even if for a little while. Maybe some of you are thinking it's time to, check in with your adventurous spirit, and either study something new, learn something new, or take an actual trip, or even plan a trip for the future, Sagittarius. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Capricorn, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. Capricorn, this full moon is happening in your 8th house. And I just want to start this by saying a lot of people are nervous about the 8th house because it's the house of death and rebirth cycles, and people can feel quite nervous about it. The 8th house itself is actually quite triggering because it's to do with psychological baggage, trauma, that type of thing are contained within the 8th house. But it doesn't have to be a bad full moon. If anything, I actually have observed personally through transits for other people and myself that sometimes full moons in the 8th house go by relatively unnoticed. It's usually something that you're changing internally or you're transforming, where you're maybe wanting to let something go, you're wanting to end a pattern, you're doing the inner work to break a pattern. You could also be really more interested in the occult or in astrology or things of that nature under a full moon in the 8th. But this full moon can also, for some of you, bring up financial matters, especially if you have a spouse. If you have a romantic partner that you have some sort of financial connection with, this full moon can bring up the financial affairs of a partner. It can also be to do with things like debt, loans, money that you have that is connected in some way to a bank or a government. These things can be highlighted under this full moon as well. And there can be a little bit of an unpredictable energy when it comes to your financial situation under this full moon, Capricorn. The sun being in your second house and the full moon being in your eighth house, both in a square to Uranus in your fifth house. Unexpected financial changes or disruptions with a partner, with a partner's money, with children if you have them, and maybe even with things that you do for fun can bring financial disruptions, or it could maybe cost more than you're expecting. That type of thing, Capricorn. I also think for a lot of you, with this full moon in the eighth house in a square to Uranus in the fifth, it could be quite a spicy full moon. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, so it might be quite an intimate full moon for a lot of you if you're coupled. But I think with this full moon, more so, Capricorn, you may be feeling a little bit more emotionally intense, a little bit more aware of your feelings, and it could also highlight financial justice in a relationship. And I say that because we have the Justice card, which is to do with fairness and balance, and it's also to do with legal matters and legal affairs. So maybe there is something coming up for you around this full moon to do with property or an inheritance or taxes, or something connected to, as I say, banks or governments, where there is legal complications or legal obligations attached to them. Contracts and things like that with the Sun and Mercury in your second house, financial contracts, that type of thing could come up under this full moon, Capricorn. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Aquarius, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Aquarius, this full moon is highlighting your partnerships and your relationships. So if you're married, if you're in a significant relationship, if you are in a business partnership, it can also be just a very close one-on-one relationship in your life. The full moon is highlighting the other, so somebody else. So this full moon could be highlighting a significant relationship that is growing in your life, or that is long-standing in your life, and maybe it's bringing some changes to your relationship. Maybe there's a change in living situation. Maybe there are some disruptions in your family occurring at this time, with Uranus being in the fourth house in a square to this full moon. So maybe you and a partner are considering changes when it comes to where you're living, moving. There can be some unpredictable energy coming in from your family at this time. You could find that maybe they're a little bit disruptive, or a living situation is a little bit disruptive. Maybe you're having work done on your home and it's frustrating you and your partner's plans for Valentine's or something like that. Or maybe you're moving and you're looking for somewhere new to rent, or maybe you're wanting to go away on a trip with your partner, but you have a family obligation at the same time, something of that nature. There can be a bit of disruption when it comes to the home. But there does seem to be something highlighted in your relationship life. So maybe under this full moon, you're committing to a relationship. Maybe some of you are ending a relationship. I do think with the Sun and Mercury both in your sign, Aquarius, you're looking to communicate. Maybe you have something to say. Maybe you have something to share. Maybe you have something to express in a partnership, or maybe you have something to express to both a partner and your family. Or maybe you need to sign a contract when it comes to some moving situation or a property or something of that nature. I do think for a lot of you it could be short-term rental more than anything else with the square to Uranus, but there could be some confusion or complications when it comes to where you're living with a partner, or maybe you feel like your living situation, if you're single, is disruptive to finding or establishing a partnership in your life, or maybe you're moving a lot and you're finding it hard to connect with someone one-on-one. But I think for most of you Aquarius, your significant other is really showing up under this full moon, and there may be an important conversation to have with them. And your tarot card was the Seven of Swords, and a lot of the time this card is associated with avoidance, avoiding an issue. Maybe an issue has been building in a relationship since August when the new moon in Leo took place. Maybe for some of you there has been something that you've been hiding, or something that you need to say, something that you need to declare. Maybe one of you has been hiding something from the other. It doesn't have to be serious, but the full moon can sometimes reveal where we've been keeping things hidden or whatnot with the Seven of Swords. So try not to avoid the issues under this one, Aquarius, with that Seven of Swords. This full moon is a good time to confront them. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Pisces, welcome to the full moon in Leo for your sign. So Pisces, this full moon is highlighting your work sector. So there can be an illumination when it comes to work affairs, what you're doing in your job, the services that you provide, who you're working with, or who you employ in some cases as well. It's also to do with your health and your well-being and how you take care of yourself. So, the diet that you have, the vitamins that you take, the exercise that you do, that type of thing. These are all being highlighted under this full moon. So you might be more focused in these areas. They might be pulling your attention more than usual. And there can also be a bit of a disruptive element to this. There's a square to Uranus in the 3rd house, so you might have disruptions in terms of your commute to work. You might have disruptive news when it comes to health or well-being. You might also find that there's a disruptive element when it comes to technology, the gadgets that you use, the devices that you use, when it comes to your work project that maybe you're trying to finish or work that you're trying to do. The sun is in your 12th house, very hidden, very behind the scenes. Maybe some of you have been working on something behind the scenes since August, or doing a lot of hard work for little reward since August, and perhaps this full moon is going to be a time when your work is highlighted, your work is acknowledged, your work is recognized. But there can also be, as I say, some disruptions coming in out of left field. You might learn something about your job, you might learn something about your health, you might learn something about someone you work with that is a surprise to you or a shock to you. Or is a little bit disruptive to you. You know, maybe someone that you need for your job is nowhere to be seen at the time of this full moon, and that's frustrating. You may also find with the sun being in your 12th house that you need a little bit more alone time, a little bit more downtime. And with the sun and Mercury both there, your dreams could be particularly vivid under this full moon, and maybe a little bit psychic, or there could be some messages in there that are quite important to you, Pisces. Your tarot card is the 8 of Coins, which is the 8 of Pentacles. This is about being dedicated to your work. Working on different projects, specializing in something, sticking to your job, mastering something, and being very committed to your work. So I think for a lot of you, your work is certainly being highlighted here, or a particular goal when it comes to your health is being highlighted. I think a lot of you, despite the disruptions, are quite committed to your own personal goals and your own personal health. Not forgetting the North Node is now in your sign. You're very focused on what you want to achieve and how you want to look after yourself, Pisces. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon.